Having spent nearly 10 days over the Arabian Sea, Cyclone Biparjoy is set to make an arrival on India's west coast and South Pakistan on coming Thursday. As per the advisory issued by the Indian Weather Department, the authorities have begun evacuating thousands of people from vulnerable areas. They've closed schools and ports in the coastal district of India's Gujarat. According to the state government, over 6,800 people have been evacuated from at least 8 coastal districts. Gujarat will be evacuating people living within 10 kilometers from the coast of Kutch and Dwarka later today. Over 12,000 people are likely to be shifted to safer areas today. Meanwhile, in New Delhi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is scheduled to chair a review meeting on the preparedness for Cyclone Biparjoy. The meeting will be attended by Chief Minister of Gujarat and the members of parliament from 8 coastal districts that are likely to be affected by the cyclonic storm. As per the Indian Weather Department, the cyclone is expected to cross Saurashtra and Kutch by Thursday afternoon in the form of a very severe cyclonic storm with maximum sustained wind speed of 125 to 135 kilometers per hour, gusting to 145 kilometers per hour. Nearly a dozen districts in coastal Gujarat will be affected by heavy rainfall and gusting winds. That's what the Weather Department is saying. Fishermen in Gujarat have been advised against going to sea, and those at sea have been called back. Offshore oil installations have also been asked to ensure immediate return of all employees. And 2 of India's largest ports, the Kandla and the Mundra ports, which are located in Gujarat, have been put on high alert, while other ports have also been advised to take preventive action. As of now, 10 teams of the State Disaster Response Force and 12 of the National Disaster Response Force have been deployed in Gujarat. 3 more NDRF teams are kept on standby, while another 15 are ready to be airlifted from other states on short notice. Meanwhile, in neighboring Pakistan, the National Disaster Management Authority said that instructions were issued to take precautionary measures in southern and southeastern parts of the country. And as of now, more than 80,000 people have been evacuated out of the path of an approaching cyclone. Since the arrival of Biparjoy, the cyclone delayed the onset of the annual monsoon over the southern state of Kerala. But now the Weather Department says that the conditions are favorable for the progress of much-needed rains in the Indian states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. And for more on this, Dr. Vishwas Chitale is joining us on the broadcast. He's a senior program lead at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. He joins us from New Delhi. Thanks, Dr. Chitale, for speaking to us.
Thank you, Rohit, for having me on the show.
Dr. Chitale, let's begin by trying to understand this. You know, the world's most vulnerable populations are the worst victims of extreme weather events like this one that we are going to see in the Arabian Sea. We are seeing it for some time now. Now it's going to make landfall. What can the governments do to limit the impact on the populations, the most vulnerable of them?
Yes. In order to reduce the impact, first we really need to understand the climate change vulnerability for a country like India we have. So from our study, what we report is more than 90% of coastal districts in India are vulnerable to a single climatic extreme, may it be cyclone or may it be flood or droughts. So this is a very peculiar case now. We are talking about Kutch, Jamnagar and Morbi districts and among others, which are going to get likely hit by this Biparjoy cyclone. But historically, these districts have been also drought-prone districts. So, whatever preparedness measures have been there in the past were more focused probably on the drought-prone regions. But now we are also seeing the swapping pattern in terms of these districts becoming even more vulnerable to cyclones as well as floods. So when we talk about reducing the impact, we need to understand the vulnerability. We need to bring this scientific evidence into planning and decision making. And in order to build the resilience, we really have to look at climate proofing of the infrastructure, as well as building the overall resilience of communities in these highly impacted areas.
Right. Sir, you spoke about climate change right at the beginning. How has climate change impacted the frequency and the intensity of cyclones in recent years?
So, see, Rohit, climate change has been warming the planet consecutively over past 2 decades. And as we can see now, this trend is going to continue as per World Meteorological Organization's report that has come very recently that talks about 1.5-degree world is no more a reality. We really have to take hard actions in order to reduce this climate change trend. Now, in past 2 decades, what we have seen is the sea surface temperature has been continuously increasing in different parts of the world, and that is also one of the reasons that Arabian Sea is experiencing more tropical cyclones than earlier times. And this is not only about cyclones. This is also going to result in, like we see now, intense El Nino also coming in 2 months before the predicted time. So these are all the different complex situations that climate change is causing, for which we really need to consider the compounding risk as an overall risk of the area of, say, overall for India, which can be which have been reported through our studies in the past, which talks about compounding risks in terms of floods, cyclones, as well as droughts being impacted in the same region in India at different times of the year.
Sir, also I want to understand from you what is the likely impact that Cyclone Biparjoy is going to have on the monsoons. They have already been delayed by 7 days or so, but is it going to get worse?
So far, I think, the landfall is almost there now. In 2 days, the cyclone will enter the land and maybe its intensity will go down. So most likely it might not have any further impact on monsoon. But also, like, these cyclones have been really behaving in a very unpredictable way in the past. We have also seen Taukte, its intensity was supposed to go down after it did the landfall in May 2021, but it continued on the same coast for a few more days. Now it's really interesting how Biparjoy responds or Biparjoy acts in this time. And I think after the landfall, probably the intensity should go down, which might not have severe impact on the monsoon. But on the other hand, like El Nino might have some impacts, but these are really early predictions.
All right, Dr. Vishwas Chitale, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thanks very much for joining us with your perspective on this story.
Thank you, Rohit.